I work for a company called Acumen Fiscal Agent, and I have been here for almost a year, so about 11 months and 10 months, maybe exaggerating. And my title is Vice President of Growth and Development.
Okay, thank you. How do you spend your day?
It's a difficult question. I spend my day trying to balance between a focus of my paying customers and contracts, which are usually state governments, my team and their well-being and what they need from me, and usually spend a lot of time on the road because I have people throughout the country. But right now I spend a lot of time on conference calls and Zoom meetings, trying to do all of those things, take care of my team, take care of my customers, make sure we're delivering the products we should be delivering.
Cool. What do you think the most important thing that a manager does?
So my job is to take care of you, and I try and walk in those shoes as much as possible to make sure I am taking care of my folks. So as a manager, when I hear manager, I think of like someone who is supervising people and managing people, less leadership. The manager, I think, is a listener, a coach, an advisor, a remover of roadblocks, someone who can reach in throughout the organization beyond maybe beyond the power of the person that reports to them, or sometimes just because they need to help out that person. So that's how I view my role as a manager, is really being aware of what's going on with the work we do and the quality of the work, but making sure that the people that are delivering those works that are under my care have everything they need to do that whenever possible, and just being a good listener, remover of roadblocks, and yeah. So hopefully I did that justice.
That's great. Yes. Okay. So talking a little bit about what's the best way to lead a group? What in incorporating sort of personality traits into that make a good leader?
I mean, leading a group over managing people, I do view as quite different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're related because I play both roles, as we all do. But I think the leading the group part to me is gets into more vision and aspiration and energy and culture, and really trying to create that kind of the energy and vibe you want to create with your team. You know, I think leadership is like very much a brand. I've seen really amazing leaders, and they might be terrible at work. Like they might not be capable of doing anything, but man, they're great leaders, right? Like you just want to get behind them and you believe them and they're amazing. And so I think there's a lot of energy to that. Helping people see maybe where they might want to go and where they might want to get.
Yep.
Wow, you know?
Yeah. Okay, what type of corporate culture do you aim to promote, and how do you create that?
My nose is so red. I aim to promote a culture of hard work, results, and fun.
Okay, and how do you think you do? How do you work to create that?
I do it on an individual level, I think. I try to. And I try to also create that, again, back to that kind of culture vibe of the team. Like I'm trying to live those values that hopefully others are emulating. I believe very much in very well executed meetings and keeping things tight and having, you know, good task lists and minutes and keeping things very tactical. Me, I think it's lead by example. So I try and emulate what I want to see, how people do their work. You know, what is culture, right? What is that? And I think it's a lot of times how people go about doing their work every day, and kind of the feeling of the organization and that kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
try and emulate that, and back to that, like, fun, hard work, data driven, specific. So being efficient while having a great time and getting the results. So if I can emulate that and find ways to, push that throughout my group, I think that's great. And, so here's an interesting.
What is your biggest challenge when it comes to people management?
To think about what I need to work on. So any challenges I have managing people, I usually try and reflect on what's going on with you, what, maybe that person is very different from you and it's harder for you to work with them. Some people you've got natural chemistry, some people you don't, right? Some people your work styles are very similar, some people they're not. And that's all cool. That's diversity at its finest in the workplace. No one cares about the other stuff anymore. The hard part of diversity is that stuff, in my opinion. So that's my biggest people challenge, is trying to be patient and understanding for people who are different than me, and how they do their work and how they approach their work, and trying to understand that, and then finding ways together to be productive. And I would like to say that's probably hard for everybody. I don't think that everybody, unfortunately, thinks that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my experience, I own this, a lot of managers, leaders think my way is the right way. And I do too, girl. Like that, it's bad. Like that's part of a lot of people who get into leadership positions are very opinionated and very strong, and they're very, like, go get her. And balancing that with the softer side of, be aware, like, everybody's different and everyone's got their own process and the way they go about it. So that is my personal biggest challenge, is trying to be situational with each individual that I need to see be successful.
Yeah, that's great. How do you handle an underperforming member of the team?
I try and be pretty direct and constructive. And one of my big things is trying to be timely. So, and I think this is true of anybody, whether it's a peer, a manager, supervisor, whatever. If you've got a beef, or you don't agree with something, or someone you believe is underperforming, and that could be a peer, right? Or a cross-functional person, finding productive ways quickly to give that feedback in a really constructive way. So this goes both ways for me. So as a manager, I feel strongly that my staff is also accountable to tell me when I am underperforming, or I'm not delivering what they need, or I piss them off or hurt their feelings or whatever. So everybody under my staff, I need feedback as well. And it's a two-way exchange. So I believe timeliness is important, being specific wherever possible, data-driven wherever possible, and then coaching. Like, I'm a coach. Like, I view myself really, particularly in that zone, as, okay, my job is to coach them up, right? So they can't dribble very well if they're a soccer player. Okay, let's do some drills. Could I figure out a drill? So what opportunities to try it out a little bit and maybe fail a little bit, and that's okay, but try it in a safe space and let them stretch a bit. And then sometimes with underperformance, it takes a different direction where it goes into like true performance improvement. But my philosophy on that is, it is about the work, and it is never about shame or the person or anything like that, or guilt, none of that. It is about the work. It is about trying to do the work in a certain way. And I feel try to do. And I don't succeed all the time.
I know. That's a painful point we just discussed that we went through this year. The flip side of that, how do you assess team strengths? And then how do you act on that? I mean, you have to do that pretty quickly.
Oof, it's a hard one. So part of it is gut and experience. Like, observing, trying to put myself in situations where I'm observing what they do, trying to understand maybe how their team feel about them, and seeing, yeah, trying to really just get a good sense about the person based on what I observe in their work. Another way is to talk about that. What do you think you're good at? What do you think you maybe could improve in? And then to kind of paint the picture of that person and then how to build upon their strengths. But I think the reality of our work culture today in the US is the work drives everything, right? So it's incredibly hard when you've got someone that's like, wow, like they are so good over here and they'd be really good in this kind of position, but sometimes, but oh my gosh, we have all this work we have to do that is just core to their job, and it's not what they love and it's not what their like rock star stuff is, but they got to keep doing it for a minute or a year or 5 sometimes until we can try and maybe find a way to put them in something where like that is their super sweet spot. So I try and have very honest conversations with people about what they believe their strengths are and where they want to improve, and then also observing I think is hugely important. And then the coach thing, right? Observing, coaching, developing, and then what do they want to be when they grow up and where do they shine, right?
Yeah.
Self-awareness.
So what are you reading or consuming to become a better leader? Okay, hello, Gabrielle. Could you tell us who you work for and how long you've been there, your title, those things? Just start off.
I work for a company called Acumen Fiscal Agent, and I have been here for almost a year, so about 11 months and 10 months, maybe exaggerating. And my title is Vice President of Growth and Development.
Okay, thank you. How do you spend your day?
It's a difficult question. I spend my day